Hey everyone, it's Lindsay again, coming to you without the costume and the crazy makeup and everything today. Gonna do a little video talking about wigs and hair for your Halloween costume or phantom costume or any needs that you may have in that regard. You may be wondering why I'm doing a video on this. Well, believe it or not, I get a lot of emails asking about my wigs and what I use and different options you may have if you're on a tight budget. So I thought we'd cover different options today in a little bit of detail, and then following this I will have a wig tutorial on how to make your own slicked back phantom wig on a really strict budget. So be sure to watch that video as well. That'll be coming up next, and let's get started. Okay, so whenever I get emails from people, I usually give them basically the same advice, and it's three-pronged advice really. First off, can you get the look that you want with your own hair? And it sounds simple, but believe me, I get a lot of people asking about wigs when in reality they can do the same thing with their own hair. And it's much cheaper, and it's much more realistic looking, obviously, because you're not using a cheap wig when you have your own hair to use. So, when it comes to the phantom, because Andrew Lloyd Webber's phantom has that very Rudy Valentino slicked back look to him, where that hairline is so obvious here. If you can use your own hair, that's the best bet, because you don't have to go in and install a fake hairline or deal with a cheaper looking wig. Just slicking your own hair back will work. That may mean you have to cut your hair and or color. Sometimes it's worth the effort though. For other people it's not. I know for me, I like my hair. I like it a lot, and I like it the way that it is, and so cutting and coloring it in that style for many reasons was not going to work for me, so I had to go find a wig to use. But maybe you don't want to cut your hair, but you still want to use your own because it's the best option for you. In that case, there's nothing wrong with maybe a long-haired phantom or a blonde phantom or anything like that. Just don't worry about being perfectly realistic. If that's the best bet for you, if you're on a tight budget and you can't afford a good wig, don't worry about it. Just use your own. So your second option when it comes to wigs is what I call the costume grade wig, and it's a kind of a love-hate relationship for me. Costume wigs you'll find at any Halloween or costume type shop. They vary in price from as cheap as like $10 to maybe $80 or even $100. Obviously, the more expensive wigs will be made of higher quality synthetic fiber. They'll be better constructed, and they'll look a little bit more realistic. But they won't give you a truly perfectly realistic look at that price. You know, if you're on a budget and you really want to use a wig because you don't want to, you know, mutilate your own hair, that's fine. Just be aware that the cheaper you go, the cheaper they generally look. So here I have two wigs. Both of these cost about $40. That's pretty middle of the range. They're pretty good quality, but the problem that I have with costume wigs is that they have this very fake looking hairline, and that's because the material is sewn back under, and it gives that really blunt look to it. So again, in the case of a phantom wig, this is a problem because you want that very realistic looking hairline, and that doesn't give it to you. So you can modify costume wigs, and depending on the costume wig that you have, it may or may not be worth it. If you have a really cheap $10 or $20 wig, it's really not worth modifying. And by modifying, I mean installing what we call a lace front. And wig lace is what this is based off of, this Valentino wig that I have here. You basically it's like a tulle type material, a netting, and you install it under this hairline here, and you, what we call ventilate, tie hairs to it, so it gives you that very natural hairline type look. Don't put a lace front on a $20 Halloween wig, please. Come on, that's just foolish. But if you have a more expensive, higher quality costume wig and you want to modify it that way, it's probably worth it, especially if you're going to have the wig for a while. The cheapest option when it comes to modifying the front hairline of a wig and you want it to look more realistic is using your own hair. And this is what I did with my Meg wig over here. I have a Meg costume. It's really cute. And again, because the hairline is so obvious, or lack of it is so obvious, I wanted it to look more realistic. So what I did was, when I put my hair up in my wig cap, here's a wig cap, I left out the front hairline here, about a ½ inch of hair all the way across the hairline. And I pulled that down, put the rest of my hair up in the wig cap, put the wig on, and then took that hair that was laying in front, slicked it back over the wig. And then I secured it with hair gel and hairspray to make it look like it blended into the wig. And that actually worked quite well. Unfortunately, it only works if your hair is of a similar shade to the wig. One other option you have when it comes to the hairline on a wig is to use crepe hair or bulk synthetic hair. After you put the wig on, you just apply spirit gum along the front of the hairline in front of the wig, and carefully just lay the hairs into the spirit gum, let it set and adhere, and then once everything is dry, you can slip it back much like you would if you're using your own hairline. That's just to help disguise this really painfully blunt, awful looking hairline that we have here on these costume grade wigs. And the third option you have when it comes to your Halloween or Phantom wig is to make your own. And generally speaking, making your own wig is a very time consuming and yet very expensive way of going. This wig here is the first Valentino wig that I made, and it's a replica of what they use in the real stage show. It's a full lace wig, meaning that every hair on this wig was hand tied by me onto that netting. So it took about 3 months of my spare time. It was well worth it. The result for somebody who had never done anything like that before was pretty damn good. Made a few mistakes, that's why I'm making another one actually. I have one in the works right now. Should be done in a couple of months. I'm just kind of picking at it an hour at a time when I can. But you can see that's not something that the average Halloween goer is going to try, because it's so labor intensive. And it'll cost you about $200 just the materials to get started. Never mind the hours and hours and hours you're going to spend tying every single hair on that wig to the lace. A cheaper option though, if you want to make your own Phantom wig, would be to watch the upcoming tutorial. And see, I have it right here. It's a bald cap, a rubber bald cap with hair latex on to the cap, so it's adhered with latex. But back to the Valentino wig for a minute. Why did I decide to make that? I wanted a wig, and I bought this one thinking that I was going to be really smart and somehow glue all the hair back and magically create a hairline that worked. But as you can see, I didn't. I have this wig for no reason whatsoever other than to sit here on the table and look cool. So I wanted to modify this one. I wasn't patient enough to give it a try, but oddly enough, I was patient enough to make that. So don't ask me how my brain works, I have no idea. So the materials and the construction for the Valentino wig, it's my favorite wig. I love it. Again, starting from scratch is about $200. You need the wig block, you need the ventilating needles in the holder, and you need all the hair and the lace. And the lace is pretty expensive by the yard because it's very strong and quite invisible against flesh. Some people like to use tulle when they're doing their costume wig front lines, but I would advise, if you are thinking about doing a lace front on a costume wig, don't use tulle because it's really weak compared to the wig lace. So when you're, if you get that far and want to give it a shot, tulle can work for you. You just have to be incredibly careful about tying the hairs on, because the material will stretch and break, and it's a waste of time, in my opinion. But wig lace being $40 to $70 a yard, depending where you buy it, it's really expensive. So I understand the need to cheat a little bit. So if you're interested in learning how to ventilate your own wig, or ventilate a front hairline on a costume wig, let me know. I have plenty of resources. There are some great videos on YouTube already. So I'll point you in the right direction. But for the rest of you, check out following a wig making tutorial. I'm going to get all the stuff out and show you how to do this on a budget, and I will see you then.